Hello everyone, welcome back to my knowledge share session. Learn with me. Today we are going to continue on the same topic, SAP Cloud Platform Integration. In that we are going to see a topic called Aggregator. Aggregator, as the name suggests, what it will do is it will keep on as the name suggests, it will keep on collecting messages from a particular source, and these messages are kept temporarily in a data store which is maintained by the aggregator until a business condition is met. What is the business condition? That means business condition could be this is, the message says this is my last message from the source, or end of the day is reached, or any other conditions, right? Any business condition which says that there is no more messages from that source, right? So in that way, it will keep on collecting the messages and put it in an interim data store. Once the condition is met, then these small messages are collected, aggregated based on some particular key. Okay. For example, if it is sent by an employee, then all messages sent by that employee will be collected and aggregated based on that employee ID. Suppose you are getting messages from a store or any other place, then these messages will be aggregated based on the store ID. Right? Once aggregation is completed, that means the consolidation is completed, then the final message will be released from the aggregator. That released message will be given to the recipient. That recipient could be another process or another step which in our iFlow. Okay, in our case example, I am going to use it in another data store. I am going to write that the final message in another data store. Okay, so this is the use case I am going to explain. Let me show it in a screen. Okay, this is a use case which I am going to explain now in our video. Assume that your business is having multiple stores across your city, right? These stores are going to sell some materials, or could be anything, any material which are being sold. So once the material is sold, then an invoice will be printed on the point of sale terminal, right? So like that, you have multiple stores, and each point of sale terminal will send you a invoice detail in a XML format, right? Those XML messages are collected in our iFlow using the aggregator. It will keep on collecting it until then the store says that this is my last message, right? So that is my business condition. So once this iFlow received a message saying that this is my last message, then what happens is this aggregator will consolidate all these small messages into a single message based on the store ID. So effectively in our case we are having 5 stores. So once the business condition is reached, then effectively this aggregator will gives you back the 5 consolidated message. Probably each POS can send you 10 messages each. So 50 messages are collected here and consolidated into 5 messages based on the store ID, right? Once that is received, then I am going to write it in a final data store with the messages for further processing. So effectively what does is so aggregator keeps on collecting the messages related to a single business entity until a condition is reached. Till then that messages will not be received by the recipient. Once the condition is met, the aggregator consolidate and release that consolidated message. Okay. Now this is the use case which I am going to do it in a BTP, and we will see that in a practical way. Okay. Okay. Now this is the case study which I am going to take up for the demonstration. Assume that this is the XML structure which the point of sale terminal is going to send you to the iFlow for aggregation. Okay, so this XML structure will have the structure like this. It has the ID that refers to the store ID, and this transaction refers to the transaction item number. First transaction, second transaction, like that, right? Third one is a material. This is a material code which is sold, and the description of the material, and quantity of the material, and unit of the material, and one flag which will tell you this is not the last item for the day. This is the condition which we are going to look into the aggregator. If the condition is yes, then the aggregation will stop. Right. So again I am explaining. This is the structure which I am going to send it from the point of sale terminal to the iFlow on a regular basis. Like once, as and when the invoice is confirmed, this data will go to the iFlow. Right. So like that, store 1000 will send one item, store 2000 will send one item. After some time again, store 1000 will send some item, store 2000 will send some item. So this is the business process which iFlow, which will keep on receiving this, data, right? Once the aggregation is completed, what is expected is store 1 will have the consolidated message like this, right? After the aggregation, that means the condition is satisfied, then the aggregation will accumulate all the store ID number 1 into a single message. Same way, store ID 2000 will be consolidated and form a single message. That's it. Once these two messages are stored separately in our another data store, which we will further process it for further processing, like a delivery, whatever the case, delivery, billing, and final documentations. Okay, just repeat. This is the XML which we are going to keep on receiving in the iFlow for the aggregator. The aggregator will keep collecting this data and form a consolidated XML like this once the condition is satisfied. That means in our case the condition is last item equal to yes. Okay, now we will go to the BTP and we will demonstrate how I am going to build up the aggregation properties. Then we will execute it in a Postman and see that. Okay. Okay, now I am inside the BTP. So I will go to iFlow directly. So I already created one iFlow that I will use it. Okay, instead of taking more time on the video, I will use the already created iFlow. Okay, this is my iFlow. It looks very simple. So what you have is you have a sender. Okay, this sender is connected to the iFlow endpoint using the HTTPS adapter. That name I give it as /msga. Okay, /msga is my endpoint. Then it message started. Then I created a palette called aggregator. Aggregator, you can get it from this routing group where you will get the aggregator, through which I will drag and drop it. I created it. Okay. Now let us see the properties of the aggregator. So this is the general, you can give any name whatever you want. I kept it as it is, aggregator 1. Now come to the property tab called correlation. Correlation expression, what does it mean? As I told you, it is a group ID, right? When I go to my XML, I told you, right, this is the XML I am going to pass it. So each store ID is going to send me one XML based on each invoice it is getting printed. So that store group, store ID is my key. So I am going to group all these small messages into a aggregate into a single message based on the store ID. So that is my correlation ID here. /store/ID, that means it's a relative path of my XML. Go here, store and ID, right? That's what I gave it here. Now coming to the aggregation strategy. In the aggregation strategy, in the incoming format is XML, which is only one allowed. So right now I'm going to use it as it is. Second part is aggregation algorithm. The aggregation algorithm have two options. One is a simple combine, other one is combine based on some ID. Okay, simple combine is just keep on appending, like it's like a concatenating the messages into a single message. Right now I am not going to use that. I am going to combine based on one value, that is combine in sequence. So when I say combine in sequence, there should be some ID for it, right? So what I do is I will do the aggregation of a messages of a particular store ID in a sequence of a transaction ID, right? /store/trx, which is /store/trx. Transaction ID is my invoice numbers. Effectively it is the invoice numbers for me, right? So every day it will start with 1 2 3 4 like this. So for that store, for that transaction, I am going to give a sequence, right? That's what it means. This is the very important part. This is the business condition by which the aggregation will decide whether I should conclude the aggregation or should I keep waiting for the message, right? So this is the condition I said, /store/last item equal to yes. That means when I keep sending these messages from the point of the terminal, whenever that store send me a message saying last item equal to yes, that means no more messages going to be delivered from that POS terminal to the iFlow. So that means the last. So once the last is received, then that aggregator will start aggregating all these messages related to that particular store in a sequence of transaction and push it to the next stage, right? And what is this one? Completion timeout. Completion timeout is that it's as a name suggests, timeout. It says that the aggregator will wait for that many minutes here. Effectively it will be 60 minutes or 75 minutes. It will say till 75 minutes. If there is no messages coming inside, then aggregator will start concluding it. So that means it will wait for that many minutes. If the 60 was, if I give 60 here and if up to 60 minutes no more messages come, then 61 minute the message will be aggregated, right? That's all. This is the timeout. Last one is the data store. This is the interim data store which is maintained by this aggregator. As I show in the screen, this interim data store, right? So aggregator will keep receiving these messages and put it in this interim data store until it aggregates. So I should give some name for that data store. So I gave it as interim POS, right? That's it. So the aggregator part is concluded now, right? So in the correlation, you will define the grouping ID based on which key you are going to aggregate. In the aggregation strategy, you are going to explain how do you want to combine it, the messages, based on a simple combine or based on some numbers. If it is in sequence, then you have to specify that value. Then the business condition to say that yes, the aggregation is concluded, and up to what minutes the aggregator can wait for a message. Then what is the interim data store name, right? That's all. Then what happens is, so till then this aggregator will not send any output to the next process till the aggregation is completed. Okay, now as I told you here, once it is completed, the write message will write into the final data store, right? Once the last message is received, my next step is read concluded messages are aggregated and write it into my final data store. That is my thing, right? That's what I am going to do it here. So what does means, once the concluded message are coming to write the data store. So data store is already explained in some other video. You can verify that. So this is the data store name I gave it, and each message stored in the data store should have some ID. For that, what I did is I created one content modifier. In the content modifier, I created some document number range. So it will keep on generating that number range. That number I am going to use it in the data store message ID, right? $header.docInfo, which will come from content modifier. Okay, that's it. So the data store part is remaining same as it is. What is the threshold time for your messages inside the data store is I said 2 days. Sorry, retention is 2 days. That means it will keep on reminding you the message is lying in a data store on every 2 days, and maximum days the message can exist in the data store can be 30 days. And these are all the other information, whether the message is encrypted or you want to override the existing message. That means if the ID is duplicated, should I overwrite the message or not? That's it. For the detailed thing of a data store, you can verify my another video on the data store, right? Now that's all. This is about the aggregation. So I repeat, so aggregator will set the properties of the aggregation, and correlation will tell you at what ID it has to be grouped, and strategy is aggregation strategy. What is the concluding condition to close the aggregation, right? And what is the interim data store name is used by the aggregator. And the content modifier, it is the next step, which I am going to use it for a document number range key. Once the concluded message are coming out of the aggregator, I am going to write it in a final data store, which I will be using it later. Okay, now I will deploy it, and I will go to Postman and execute it and show you how it works. Okay, now the iFlow is started now. Now I will go to Postman and execute it, right? Before that, let us go to the monitoring section and see the data store side. In the data store, there is no such data store what we defined in the iFlow, right? We defined INTPOS. We defined INTPOS for the aggregation side and final POS for the right side, right? Now we will see, we will execute in a Postman and see how the aggregator is handling the data stores. right? So this is my XML. I'm going to send it. The first XML is going to be sent by the store ID 1000, right? So I will send store ID 1000 is going to send it, and since I am sending the XML, I use post and I am sending it. So 1001 has been sent, 1000 store, and transaction ID is 11. You remember we saw that this is the correlation ID and this is the sequence ID, right? Okay, now I will go to XML. Now the store 2000 is going to send it. So store 2000 is going to send it. Sent. Okay. After some time, store 1000 is again going to send it the transaction number 12. So store 2000 is transaction number 12. It is sent. Okay, same way store 2000 is going to send now. Okay, done. Now let us see 1000 third item. Third item also I am sending it. So till then you see that last item is still no. The store 2000 is also going to send it. Still it is no. Okay, done. Now what we'll do is we'll go to monitoring section and see that. See, it has created int POS. The final POS is not yet created because it's still processing it. So we have sent 6 items so far. 3 from 1000 store ID, 3 from 2000 store ID, and internally it is consolidating it to 2, right? Now what we'll do is we'll send a final message. So we sent a final message. I'm going to send it. Final message is a dummy message I am sending. This is just I created for a training purpose. Effectively, each store will send a final message that we will handle it in iFlow separately, but for the training purpose I just simulated it. Okay, final message is coming out, so send it. So final is come now. What I have done is I increased some time limit. When I was explaining, I set the time limit of 1 minute in the aggregator. Now for the just for demonstration purpose I increased to 10 minutes. So let me wait for 10 minutes and then we will go to data store and see that what is happening. Okay, I'll be back in another 10 minutes and I'll show you how the data store has been created. Right now the data store is final POS is not created. int POS is still under control of the aggregator. Okay, after 10 minutes we will see what is happening in the data store section. Okay, now 10 minutes is over. Now we will go to data store. So the data store is reduced to 4 now. See, the int POS is gone and we have only the final POS. Okay, so let us go inside. So final POS has 3 entries. You may have a question saying that why we have only 2 store, why it is creating a third one. Since we simulated a dummy end of message item, so it create one message for this separately, which for us it is not required, and just for simulating purpose I created this. Otherwise effectively each store will send a final message. So in the iFlow we will have a separate branches for each flow, but for the training purpose I just simulated with a single iFlow. Okay, Now let us go to the final IPOS. So the first message is 67. Let us download and see it. 67. See, it is created a composite message. Let us open it in the notepad. Plugins and print. Make it as a language XML. Okay. See, the 1001 we sent it, right? We sent it separately each. We sent it separately, right? Each. This one. So what happened is it aggregates based on the store ID and sequence on the transaction number, right? So now we'll go to data store. So this message is consolidated. One message is created with a item 67. Then another one is, this should be a 2000. Let us download it. 68. Right. So this also I will copy it. Control C. I will create a new one. Plugins, recipient and language XML. See, the 2000 is created now, right? So two consolidated aggregated messages are created, right? One for 1000 and one for 2000. See that multi messages, right? It created with a tag called multi messages. Multi messages. Okay, you got a point now how the aggregator works now. So the INTPOS is gone now, as we said that in the cloud integration. The aggregator INTPOS is gone. It was keeping that until it processes it. Once it is processed and delivered, then this data store has been removed. So this is the data store which I will take action. So when you come here, this final POS is not created until you send the last message. The condition is met. Like this. Once it keeps all the messages inside the INTPOS data store. Once the condition is met, then it delivers it. Then once it delivered, then in our program, our setup, we read that message and put it in the final data store. Right, that's all. So the third one is, now for us it is meaningless because it is a simple end of message flag message. Okay, so when you see that, it will simply have that only that end of message one, this one, right? So this message is the one which triggers the aggregator saying that yes, done, everything is done, now you consolidate. So the aggregator consolidated based on the store ID and delivered to us, so that we got a consolidated message like this. Okay, hope now you are okay with that. The aggregator, how aggregator works in the cloud and platform integration. So effectively, this will help us to receive the messages in the bits and pieces and consolidate it and deliver it to the next step, so that we can further process it. Okay, hope this will be helpful to you. And please do comment your remarks and questions on this aggregator. I will be very happy to explain you back. Okay, thank you for watching. Thank you so much.